Well, hello everyone. This is Sevilla. I love and welcome back to my channel. This is the first time you're here. I am a grief and loss specialist. I am a clinical therapist. However, this is not a therapy channel. This is my opinion channel. And tonight we're going to talk about my opinion on spiritual issues. Now, don't get too lost in the concept of religion for those of you who have any wounds around that area or any rejection for that. Okay. But we're going to talk about spirituality, meaning that which is beyond ourselves, the metaphysical. Meta meaning beyond the physical, beyond the physical. Now, I was born into a family of metaphysicians. My father was a metaphysical minister. My mother was a healer and a president of the Astrologers Association of Alaska. And so I was just brought up in that world of investigating all different types of religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs, transcendental woo-woo. So I've read hundreds and hundreds of books and watched hundreds and hundreds of hours of information on the spiritual progression of the soul. My work brings me to some pretty interesting concepts when I'm working with grief and loss. Because when you've lost someone, the big question that comes up for most people is, where did they go? How could this beautiful, brilliant, lovely soul be here 1 minute and then just cease to exist? It confounds a lot of people. Now, for those of you who are religious, that you have a very strong belief in what happens in the afterlife, and you're comfortable with that, that's fine. You don't need to listen any further. But for those of you that are seeking or interesting or curious of the metaphysical, because what you once understood or thought you believed no longer seems to fit, you're in the right place, because I'm going to introduce some topics to you tonight, or maybe deepen you, or maybe review some things with you to get you thinking again about the metaphysical, the soul's journey in this life and the next. So we're going to talk about several different things. We're going to talk about past lives. We're going to talk about soul contracts. We're going to talk about soul mates, life between lives regression. Now, a lot of you probably don't know what that is. And for those of you that do, hang on, we're going to talk about that too. And then also at the end, I'm going to talk about mediumship. Some of you are interested in talking to a medium, but you're afraid to. You don't want to tell anyone. You can believe how many clients I've had in my psychotherapy practice. Now I have two, psychotherapy practice and I have a coaching practice. I do both. They're separate services, and I do offer coaching for people in all over the world. Psychotherapy is only for people that are in the states I'm licensed in, which currently is Alaska and North Carolina. But that may change in the future. However, you can contact me if you're interested in coaching services. Mediumship is a big one that comes up, and a lot of people want to know more about it. So hang on to the end, because that's going to be the last thing I talk about. Past lives. Have we lived before? And is this person that was in your life somebody that you've had past lives with before? And if you did, why don't you remember it? And are you paying a price for something that you did in the last life? Is this some kind of karmic payback that you lost your spouse, or that you lost this loved one in your life? Well, first of all, I want to say no, there is no payback for anything. I believe that there's any punishment either, but there may be a balancing of scales, so that we can come to understand what it is to live certain ways in this lifetime, so we can get the most out of the life that we have here. Now, I am coming from this personal bias that we have lived before, so that's not for you. You're welcome to shift off this channel right now. No problem. My feelings won't be hurt. Okay. But if we've had a past life before, if we have existed on this plane or any others, what are we doing going life to life to life? Well, we may be moving ahead, kind of like we do through school. Now, in first grade, we can't say that first grade was more important than the sixth grade, because you were learning very specific things in the first grade that were important for you to learn in that phase of your development. The teacher that you had and the different types of educators, different friends, the different activities that you did in the first grade were all there to help to develop you mentally, physically, psychologically, socially, so you could move up to the next level. And if you did okay, then they would move you up. And you might be with a new set of peers and a new teacher who is there to bring you different types of information. Each stage of your development in the educational world brought you closer and closer and closer to your maturity here in this lifetime. Now, we might see that the soul also operates on a similar pretext, that we are ever advancing beings. Now, there's a saying in the book called A Course in Miracles. If you're interested in investigating different things, you might look into that. But A Course in Miracles says, and I may not be quoting it specifically, but it's pretty close, that which is real cannot be destroyed. That which is real cannot be destroyed. Energy cannot be destroyed, and it can only be transformed. However, everything that you're looking at right now is around you. Look around your room. It's all going to be destroyed one day, meaning it will no longer be there. But the energy that of whatever held those molecules together, that the chair you're sitting on, will form into something else. Okay, whatever energy held them together. But the chair will eventually disintegrate and be no more. Your bodies also will disintegrate and be no more. So what's left? And what happens to that energy? That which we knew about each other, that which we loved, still exists. Okay? That which we love still exists. It continues on its journey. Now, if there's a need for a soul to come back because it has yet another grade to go through, then it'll come back. But do we come back together? Have you had a past life with your late spouse? It's very possible that you did. Now, we want to ask, was my late spouse my soulmate? And some of you are going to unequivocally say, absolutely, they were my soulmate. But some of you are questioning if they were your soulmate or not, because maybe the relationship wasn't that great, or maybe it was beautiful, but you don't know what makes up a soulmate. Okay, so let's just say this. Have you ever had a beautiful teacher in your life, somebody who just got it? They gave you compassion. They gave you the greatest amount of encouragement. They were interested in you. They cared about you. They inspired you to do better, be more. Okay. That person in your life could be a form of a soulmate in the way that they were a great teacher to you. But if we take that and exponentiate the intensity and the concentrated effort in one's life that you would have from a spouse who's with you all the time, now they're going to challenge you in different ways, aren't they? Our spouses bring us some of the greatest challenges. Now, I think it's no mistake that in just about every world religion, they call for marriage. Why? Because it's within that context of the relationship that our souls really, truly begin to grow, because they will challenge every button you've got. Got childhood wounds? They're going to push them. You don't like to be tickled? They're probably going to tickle you. There's going to be something that is going to come that's going to challenge you to overcome. Now, if you don't feel like you're good enough in this life, then maybe they come and they raise you up and they say you are good enough. You're beautiful, you're whole, you're marvelous, you're smart, you're strong. And then that helps to build you up. Or maybe they play the bad guy in your life. Maybe they come and tell you you're not nothing. You're not strong. You're not smart. You're not funny. Just give up now. Now, maybe you fall into that trap and you listen to them. But maybe, on the other hand, you don't listen to them. Maybe if you say, what if I am worthy? What if I am valuable? What if I am important in the world? What if I do have something to offer? So maybe the contrast that they bring to you in the context of some negativity in the marriage forces you to grow into your own sense of belonging, your own sense of knowing that you're important, that you're valuable. And now you have advanced because they played the bad guy. Okay. Now, I'm not trying to minimize an abusive relationship or yada, yada, yada. I'm not. But I want to get you out of the story that we tell ourselves here in this lifetime and raise you up above to an observer perspective, to where you're looking down on the relationship and you're saying, truly, on a big scale, what did I get from this? Now, you might look back on your childhood and say, gosh, I was really bullied by this one kid in school. Now you're no longer living it. Maybe it's like you put it behind you. I was kind of awkward in school and yeah, the kids bullied me. And maybe it still hurts your feelings when you really think about it. But on the same time, you're like, you know what? That taught me to be stronger. That taught me to have a thicker skin. That taught me to really not give a about what anybody thinks about me now in my lifetime because I suffered that when I was a kid. These might be examples. Now, this isn't trying to minimize any pain anybody's had in their lifetimes. What I want to highlight is the things that make you strong, the things that make you really be able to understand how powerful you truly are, how beautiful you truly are, and how it is we get there. Each soul has a different need in terms of what we need to get there. Now, some people need to be uplifted. Maybe some people need the challenge of someone saying, yeah, you ain't nothing. And then you go, yeah, watch me. And then you soar. Okay. Or maybe you allow them to hurt you. And then at some other time, you learn to soar on your own because you reject that. Now you are so much more powerful because you've learned how to do that. And you shine that much more brightly. Okay. So when I talk about soulmates, they may be someone who challenges you. They may be somebody who you love deeply. So there's different types of soulmates. There may be a friend that's a soulmate. You've had a best friend your whole life, and it may have been your romantic partner. So in my biased opinion, a soulmate isn't just this one individual that is with you throughout lifetime after lifetime after lifetime that nobody else can ever match. Because, well, I guess it's true, nobody can ever match it because each relationship is unique to the person. However, what I want to say is that doesn't mean that that's the only romantic love you could ever have in any lifetime. But a soulmate would be somebody that possibly you do travel throughout lifetimes with. And they come to you to help teach you. And you come to them to help teach them in the areas we have deficits. And that brings me to soul contracts. Okay? Soul contract is the concept that before we come to Earth to inhabit a body and to live a human life, that we have a contract with other souls. And we say, look, I really need to work on how to love myself. Because I'm a divine being just like you. And in these past lives, I haven't loved myself. I've been really hard on myself, haven't been good to myself. And I want to learn how to love myself. And so this other person says, okay, I can help you do that. I'm going to come in and I'm going to help lift you up. Or the other person says, you know what? Let's give you a little challenge. Okay. You think you've been through this enough now. Maybe you can find it on your own if I challenge you. We come together as beloveds of one another with a desire to hold ourselves up to the highest standards when we come here. And we come here and we have this veil that comes over us. So there's an inner knowing, but then there's a veil. Because if we didn't have a veil between here and the next world, nobody would stick around. Very few of us would stick around. We'd all just want to go right back. Because, honestly, it kind of sucks here sometimes. It's also pretty beautiful. But we're here for a reason. So this is the concept that we choose to come here. Now, a lot of you are going to say, I would never choose to come here. And that's fine. I honor you when you say that. And I also invite you to do some more research around this concept of choosing to come. This concept of a soul contract that we get into with another person. Say, we may have certain things that help us to identify each other. Now, it might be just a sense of knowing when we meet. It's like, well, this is a perfect stranger, but I feel like I've known you all my life. That is so crazy. And then we may have an engagement with the other person that is a trigger. So it might be a decision that we have in the spirit world. We say, okay, we're going to meet at this such and such a place. And because your soul has made that understanding with the other soul, when you then are in that energetic place that you said you're going to meet, or you have a certain type of word or phrase or something like that you're going to talk about with one another, it clicks, like turns on a light inside of you that gives you that sense of knowingness and comfort with the other person. that you just feel like somehow you have a destiny with them, whether you know what it is or not. Okay, so how would you know if somebody was a soulmate? How do you know if you had a soul contract with someone? Well, I'm going to tell you, there's ways you can find out. One way is called a life between lives regression. Life between lives regression. When I say regression, I mean hypnosis, that you are taken into a deep, 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 deep state of hypnosis. And what they do is they take you to a past life regression. So you understand a past life that you'd had, and you may recognize people that you knew from this life in that past life, or you're telling the story of it. And then here's something interesting, they take you into the death scene of that life. And from the death scene, they take you into the soul's transition out of the body in that lifetime and into the spirit world. And you remember it. Okay. So I'm going to put a link below to some resources for this so you can investigate it yourself, some books and website, things like that. You can look into it. But imagine you could access the information of your life between lives before you came back here. Because what were we doing in between lives? We were just like hopping from body to body to body. Or were we doing something, taking a little break in between? And in that little break in between time is when we get together with our beloveds and say, okay, we're going back in. We got some more stuff to learn. And you and me, we're going to try to, engage. I want to be with you again in this lifetime. I want to be your wife or your husband. We have these things to learn. You and I want to be friends. Maybe I want this person to be my mother or my father. And so we make these choices coming in with the blueprint of what this life will be like. Now, it's not an exact science. Well, maybe it's an exact, I don't know. Can we even say that about the spiritual exact science? Like I have any authority to talk about science in the spirit world. However, it's not an exact plan that everything will exactly happen X, Y, Z because we have free will. If we don't have free will, there is no point in being here. Also, if we don't have some level of suffering in this life, what's the point of being here? Because if everything's just good all the time, we might as well just stay where we were, then come down here. Because it's the contrast, it's the darkness that we experience in this lifetime that allows us to see the light, our light, the light of others. It allows us to crawl our way back out of dark, painful places to work those spiritual muscles like we would a physical muscle. Some people have more challenging lives than others. And some of us want to go climb Mount Kilimanjaro. Some of us want to rappel off rocks and go skydiving. And some of us want to sit in our homes and watch TV. So every soul also has its own level of challenge that it wants to do. Now, if we're to equate the challenge of a soul, sometimes maybe those people that have a more difficult life are really the spiritual warriors. They're the spiritual athletes, the ones that came here to really challenge themselves. It's possible. Okay, it's possible. So before you go arguing and saying, I would never wish this, I would never wish this on anyone, and there is no God because this world is an evil place because I've been so hurt by it. You know what? You get to feel that. You get to feel that. Because that, my friends, is grief. But if you're ready to get out of that place, then you could go looking for other answers. You get curious about the other possibilities in the metaphysical, in things beyond the physical. So if you were to contemplate the possibility that you signed up for this, Eckhart Tolle, who is a beautiful, amazing spiritual teacher, wrote the book, The Power of Now, and many other books. I highly recommend you look into that. If you haven't read it before, Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now. But he says, we're gonna suffer until we don't need to suffer anymore. And what's that mean? That means maybe at some point we transcend the suffering, Or we learned a lesson we needed to learn from that suffering. That's a possibility. So if we also decide that if I am here in this situation with this loss in my life, then maybe what if I treated it like I chose it? Oh God, no, don't say that. Who would choose this? But okay, just hang on with me for a minute. What if you chose this experience of loss? What if you chose this experience that you're now having? Okay. What comes up for you? Anger, fear, resentment? Screw you, Sevilla. How could you say something like that? And on the other hand, what if we did choose it? And if we did, why? 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 Your why is going to be different than my why or anybody else's. That is the spiritual journey that we go on. Because after we ask the whys in the physical world, why did they have to die? Well, cancer, car accident, you know, suicide, any means of death. Then what? Once we exhaust those whys, then where do we go? We have to go beyond. I want to just challenge some of you who have come to a dead end in your answers in this life to the why. And to start to look a little bit deeper, I want to encourage you to reach out and look into different books. I'm going to put some books here that you could potentially check out on life between lives, on past life regressions. What does it mean for us to have this kind of human experience in light of these horrible losses that we've had? Because if you know my story, you know I have had an enormous amount of loss by an early age. Age of 42, I lost both my parents, two brothers, multiple family members, all grandparents, many friends, coworkers, clients. And then I lost my husband. So I've lost every single relationship type there is except for my son. It has taken me down a very deep road of why. And I made this channel not to just talk about dating, and this is about starting over. That's what this channel is about, starting over. And that does involve dating for a lot of people. And I have a lot of content on here about this. But before we can really, truly, deeply, meaningfully move into our lives, we have to understand our deeper why. Why am I still here? What's my purpose? When I say my, I speak to that piece of you, to each one of you that have asked yourselves that question, why am I still here? If my purpose was to be this person's mother, or to be this person's spouse, or to share this life, or to have this kind of retirement, or have these kinds of life experiences, and now those have all been taken away from me. So if you allow yourself to start to seek a little bit deeper, then maybe you start to find out your bigger why, your deeper meaning in this life, your deeper sense of meaning beyond just this physical. You're still here, you still have purpose, and you're vitally important to this world. Each soul is this beautiful, brilliant, shiny piece of us. And if we're here having this human experience, we're here on this divine path, then why? Okay. So there's the animals, they have their purpose. So when they took all the wolves out of Yellowstone, what happened? The deer took over and they ate all the vegetables and all the plant life, and then the forest and everything started going downhill. They had to put the wolves back in because they helped to call the herd. every life has that level of importance in the world. And it doesn't matter what you do now, but it's a vital importance that you do it. Because if you have a calling inside, that's your soul speaking to you. That's your soul contract. If you feel like you're at a blockage at every turn, then there's something that you haven't allowed to manifest in your life that needs to speak its truth, that needs to manifest itself. We're here as creators, as artists, as business people, as mothers, as fathers, as knitters and sewers and woodworkers, and we're here to create. And so, what are you here to create? And it may be something that seems very humble, but that humbleness is of vital importance. There's a African proverb that says, if you think that you're not important, you think if you have no impact, you think you're not powerful. Think of the mosquito, and you're in a tent with that mosquito, just one. That mosquito is pretty powerful, isn't he? This is us. Each one of us are of vital importance, and you need to find that. Now, if you want more information about how to do this, if you want to have somebody to talk to about these experiences that you've had or these curiosities, you're welcome to book a session with me. You can bring that kind of thing to me in a session. Whatever it is that you are curious about, wondering about, you've had communication from your loved one on the other side, we can talk about that. Okay. Now, a lot of you want to know about mediumship. So that's the final thing we're going to talk about tonight. Now, if you've been on this channel for a while, you know that I have studied mediumship. Now, I want to be very clear. I am not a practicing medium. Okay. I'm not a practicing medium. I'm not a psychic that's going to tell you your future. However, I have studied mediumship from one of the best mediums in the world. And I learned the process, and the understanding of what that was, how it's done. I have done it before, yes. I do bring that sense of connection to my clients. Now, like I said, I don't practice mediumship. I'm not going to tell you, hey, your loved one's saying X, Y, Z on the other side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to refer you to somebody who does specialize in mediumship. But I do have that sense of awareness and connection when I work with my clients. If there's a loved one on the other side, I always invite them in because maybe they know something that I don't that can help me to help you tap into that one thing you need to ring that one bell inside your mind and your heart that needs ringing that I don't know about, but maybe they do. And I allow myself to be open to that. So you can receive that type of guidance in a session. And again, I don't say, hey, so-and-so said what? We just talk, we communicate. And somehow what people need comes out and they find healing. It's very important. But what is mediumship? Is it a trance that people go into? Does their head spin around? No. It's kind of like a dog. Okay, you know how dogs have supersonic hearing? And you're in the same room with them, and the dog perks up because he hears somebody walking up the sidewalk. You can't hear them, but the dog hears the mailman coming up the sidewalk. Now, that dog is a physical creature just like you, but they have an extra sense, a more powerful sense than you do in their hearing. Okay, so we all have ESP, extrasensory perception, but some people have it more heightened. It's more powerful. They have a stronger nose, so to speak, and they can tap in and understand what may be coming through on the other side. Now, a good medium is going to be able to give you evidence of the person because anybody can come and say, oh, they loved you so much. They just want the best for you. They really wish you'd just be happy and stop grieving and stop crying and get on with your life. Anybody can say that. And your loved one would probably say that if they could talk to you. A good medium, a real medium, will give you evidence, very specific evidence that lets you know this is the person that you're talking to. Specific evidence of what type of person they were, who they were, maybe what they looked like. It may be certain hobbies that they had or things that they did or things that they would say, phrases that they would say. And if a medium pulls out a name, now that is considered the creme de la creme, because it's really hard to get a name. And this is why. It's almost like in mediumship, for a lot of them, it's like there's it's like looking at things through through a shadow, through a screen. So you can't see it just very, very clearly. You get images and pieces of what is maybe being communicated. And the reason why is because on this earth, we're very dense here. It's like a very dense energy to be in a physical body. And in the spiritual world, there's no physical body in that way. And so they're at a much higher vibrational level than we are. Okay, how many of you am I losing so far? Okay. Did I lose you? It's okay. So if you're at a higher vibrational level in the spirit world and we're in a dense place here, then we're gonna have a harder time being able to resonate. So what the medium does is that they bring their energy field out, and then the spirits will bring their energy field in, and they kind of meet in the middle. Now, but where would you find one? You wanted to see a medium. Where would you find one? So there's an organization called the Forever Family Foundation, and you can check them out online, the Forever Family Foundation. And I'll put their website below in the description, and then I'll probably put it here in the video as well in my editing. There's more places than that also have other mediums that are vetted. If it's meaningful to you, if you feel like, gosh, that was really them, then if it makes an impact on you, a positive impact, that's good. I want to say to, be careful about who you go to. I have a couple of people that I recommend to folks. And if you're interested, you could message me and ask me about that. But the Forever Family Foundation has a list of people that do provide that service. Now, I can't vouch for every single one of them, but in the Forever Family Foundation, they have vetted them themselves. So it's not just someone going, hey, I can do mediumship, and then throwing out a bunch of hooey that makes you believe, and then they take your money. Here's the thing. If somebody is a trained medium, okay, they are going to charge, because this is their time, their talent, and their effort. There's a lot of people that believe if you're doing a kindness, you shouldn't charge for it. But at the same time, people have talents, skills, and abilities. And we also are here in this world to be able to support ourselves and to take care of ourselves and to make a living. So yes, they're going to charge. Some charge more than others. The really famous ones, you'll never get in to see, so don't even try. They've got like 10-year waiting list. But for those that can and do and have space for you, I recommend giving it a try with a reputable medium here below. So here's again, if you are seeking, if you're in pain, if you're trying to start your life over, you need some help, you can schedule a session with me. To provide that, the link to my schedule is in the description below. Just remember that if we're all spiritual beings having a human experience and not the other way around, not humans having spiritual experiences. No, we're spiritual beings first having human experiences. And we're here to grow and learn and to heal and to become better and more and ever, ever, ever expanding in our capability and in the qualities that we possess. So whatever avenue, whatever spiritual avenue you choose, if you're religious, go deeper into your religion. There's answers to be had in many avenues of life. If that's not a path that is feeling fitting for you anymore, there's many other pathways, but all pathways lead home, because there's only one divine essence of all things. Kind of a law of one, so to speak. There is only one. And we're all on our journey back to it. You get to choose your path. That's your free will. How can you use it to help your heart heal, and to help you move forward in your life. It's okay to investigate. It's okay to seek. That's what we're here for. Much love to all. Good night.